What is up? Welcome into the podcast, Be Unexpected, with Wyatt and Jake. Today we are joined by Maillard South head cross-country coach, assistant boys basketball, and assistant track coach, Trevor Weigert. Trevor, how's it going?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Good, man, good. So a little bit about us. We all went to Fremont High. Trevor graduated in 2013, I in 2014, and then Jake in 2015. So we got most of the grades covered, and we all played basketball together. And then, Jake, you did track with Trevor, right? You did track in high school?
Well, my freshman year I did,
Okay, yeah.
and
So you guys did some
Yeah,
track
yes.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
did
did
some
some track
crossover.
together. So
Yep.
then Trevor and I, we grew up on playing baseball together. His dad was our coach. It was super fun. So we were really good, I remember. Like that was
They were fun times. We
yeah,
had
they
some
were
good
fun times, especially like
Yeah.
last year. We were really good
Yeah.
that last year, I
Yeah.
remember.
Oh
So,
yeah. No, that was good stuff.
oh yeah, for sure, man. So we all just grew up playing sports together, and now we're all still keep in touch. So, Trevor, why don't you tell us kind of about your experience growing up in sports and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it was just kind of like a day one thing. Like, as you know, I know you guys were too. It's just kind of from a young age, just, obviously got involved in whatever. I remember like indoor soccer at the Y and, little T-ball, Y baseball, basketball, that good stuff. And so, from day one, it was just like, that's what I was doing. I love to do everything and kind of just kept that rolling. And like you said, then, baseball was kind of the first big one. Like, we kind of got that team together and from a young age, we were just kind of rolling and that was always fun. And then that, fed over into basketball. So those were the two sports from a young age, obviously, that we just, kept rolling with. And then I picked up cross country and track starting in middle school. And it was just kind of a random, like decided to start doing it just kind of for the heck of it. And then ended up really liking it a lot. And I kept going with that in high school and ended up doing all of them still, through those years. And so that was a lot of fun. Obviously, just like you said, you just like you guys and so many others, you just come into contact with so many good guys and, they become lifelong friends and that's a lot of the stuff that makes it worth it at the end of the day. So yeah, obviously deep background and that's what led me into coaching as well. Just wanting to, continue to be in that world and hopefully make a little bit of an impact.
So talk about Fremont track and Fremont cross country. Did Coach McMahon kind of recruit you? Because like you hear that thing, like he recruits people and then he turns them into like all staters and you go on and win state. So did you guys win state when you were in high school for cross country?
Yeah. So we were lucky enough and, I came in and obviously the program was very well established already. He had already been building a heck of a dynasty there. And so honestly, mine was super random. I got started in middle school. And the funny thing was I literally heard it was one of the first days of school and it was like a girls cross country announcement for middle schoolers, like, join the team, whatever. And it was one of the, like, I didn't really know entirely what it was. I just knew it was running and just kind of from past like PE classes, stuff like that. I was like, I've always been okay. Like maybe I'll just give it a shot. Cause I didn't play football. So, but I'm the type, it's like, okay, I want to keep doing something. So I just inquired a little bit and started running. And then, it was just one of those things that turned out, okay, I'm okay at this. Like, I guess I'll just keep it rolling. And then obviously, as I got older and closer to high school, you start learning more and that's what made obviously Coach McMahon and the program so good. Like a lot of us, they just invited us up like, hey, come run with the high schoolers, like in the summer and the winter, whatever. If you're not doing something, get over here and feel free to run with us. And so that just ingrained us into the program from a young age and obviously kept us rolling. But yeah, that's how, it was just such a cool experience and getting to be a part of that team was something really special for sure.
Did you guys win it? You guys won it twice, right? Your sophomore and
Yeah.
senior
So,
year?
yep. So, it was my freshman and junior year, we were runner up and then sophomore and senior year, we won.
Nice.
So
Wow.
crazy stretch. I mean, obviously super appreciative of that. And the crazy thing is, and like I tell people or some of the guys I ran with, now, at the time, like, okay, before we got into high school, it's like, you already know, okay, just a great program. And then we had, we were lucky enough to have some good success in high school. And now that it's like, even they've taken it a whole up multiple more steps. I mean, just they've been crazy ever since too. So I mean, it's an incredible program that he's built for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, like this year, I didn't like still this year in 2023, didn't they get runner up or
Yeah, so they had won the last shoot was now it's escaping me. They were it had either been 4 straight or this was going for 4 straight.
Jeez.
And it was them and Creighton Prep, and Prep ended up winning. But they had been at a meet early season and Prep just smoked them like real bad. They went 1-2, but Prep beat them like real bad. But then it was just, the classic over the course of the season, like, okay, here they come.
Jeez, yeah.
And they had, two guys, the Gonzalez kid, he was the returning state champ. So you knew they had talent. And then just, the classic had some new kids on the varsity and, eventually they're going to come around. And so they ended up tying actually at state. And then it had to go to the 6th runner tiebreaker. And unfortunately, Prep 6-man had it. But yeah, still a runner-up finish this year.
okay.
Wow.
And did you ever win state in track in high school?
No, not when I was in high school. No.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we still had a really great team, great program rolling, but
Oh yeah, because we were.
yeah, unfortunately, no state titles for track.
Okay, yeah, because you guys were always like top 5 or top 3 sometimes in track.
Yeah,
is that right?
same type of deal. When by the time we got there, that program had been so good already, and I mean they've got a couple state titles since too. So they've been keeping that thing rolling for sure.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about basketball. So I just remember like growing up, like seeing you guys play, and then you guys were 2 grades above me, and just like even in when I was, I think 7th grade, you guys were 9th grade or in the 10th grade. I thought it was like, oh man, it's like Wiegert, like Zane and Peyton, like those guys are great. So just talk about like basketball growing up and then in high school. Like it was obviously a good time. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those guys were great, dude. I was lucky we had a really good crew of guys. My senior year and my class, I should say. And by our senior year, I mean, I think we had a lot of guys still playing. And so that's something that I would say is very uncommon for sure. Like you don't see, most teams you see, yeah, maybe they're senior led, but maybe they have like 3, 4, 5 seniors in the program. We had like 8, 9, something like that still. So that's just the cool part, I think, for me. Just like you grow up in a town like Fremont, and like obviously we had our connections with guys, we're in different grades and we had our connections, but you obviously build those connections, those bonds with the guys that are in your grade. It's like, yeah, we've been playing forever, and we become such good friends, and I think that's a special part of it. You just enjoy. Obviously, you enjoy the sport, you enjoy competing together, but just when you've built that over, like we started playing, I think most of us when we were in like 2nd, 3rd grade, on our teams together, and that's just stayed through elementary, middle school, high school. So it's cool then when you get to the high school level, and like you said, we're the same way. We look up to these guys above us, and it's like, oh man, can't wait to you can't wait to get to that point and be those guys and enjoy those experiences. So I think that's the biggest thing when you look back. You just get to enjoy, like, yeah, those were great times, and you just enjoy the ride and the memories with all those guys you get to share it with, for sure.
Yeah,
quick. I remember. I don't know if you like in middle school in like 5th grade, you would sit at that once middle school section and watch. And I remember just like all like my grade and like specifically your guys' grade, I got to there like Hunter, Dredge, and like Ty, and we'd watch the games. And I remember like watching like Matt Donahue and Derek McKenzie. I'm like, gosh, man, those guys are superstars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And that's like, like you said, like, Peyton, and like we're so good buddies, and that's the same thing. It's like his brother was, I think, a senior when we were freshmen, right? And so that's the cool part too, where it's like, okay, you got your good buddies, and then you see like his brother has some success, and they had a great team for that couple years, and it's like, you just get excited, like, okay, that's awesome. Like you look up to those guys, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, we're hungry to kind of fill that when we get older too.
What was some of your like favorite memories about that senior? Because we were obviously like we won a big tournament, the conference, and but like besides that, like there are other memories that stick out. Is like weren't we 500 your senior year?
Roughly, yeah. So right around 500.
Yeah, I mean, we were a lot better than my sophomore year, junior year, I remember.
Oh
that.
yeah.
We
Mm.
improved
I
like
think-
a bunch. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think,
So-
yeah, from like the perspective of obviously just like on the court or the season, like
Mhm.
that's a cool thing now. And especially like, now kind of coaching and being on the other side of things, like, those are the experiences that are cool, like where we struggled big time my junior year. We only won a few games, like, just a tough season, but then a lot of us come back for my senior, like we really didn't lose too much from junior to senior year. So that's just what was, what made the experience cool where, okay, again, it's like that same group of guys you're running it back with, you dedicate yourselves to each other again. And, we just found a way to improve and be competitive. And like you said, we ended up winning the conference tournament, which I believe was the first time really up to that point we had done it.
Mhm.
So I remember that was, cool for us because we're going like, especially the year before, it's like we never could have dreamed of that type of success. And I think they seeded us going in as like the 7 seed,
Yeah.
if I remember right. So we went through literally the top 3 seeds to do it. So it's just, just stuff like that you get to think back on, and just what that group kind of came together and was able to do, and have some success that, again, like, for a lot of us the year before, like we weren't having.
Mhm.
So that was fun. And then like, obviously the biggest thing is always off the court. Like, obviously the on-court stuff was cool. Like, you have those memories and they'll stay with you forever, but just all, the team dinners, the time you spend hanging out, the late nights, we'll still joke, like, go to Applebee's after the game was over and get some half
Mhm.
apps, but like the stuff like that is what makes
Yeah.
it fun. Cause it's like, that's what you guys remember. And, just the time you spent together with a great group of dudes. So,
Yeah.
it's
Some of
fun to have those relationships with those guys.
Some of the most memories I have is like the bus rides to Kearney and
Oh,
North
yeah,
Platte
for
and
sure.
just like doing stupid stuff in the locker room at like Millard West. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
some of
Or
the
like, now that you bring that, like, I remember, there you go. Like our senior year, we played at Kearney, and then it was literally like massive snowstorm. It took us probably like 6 hours, like double the time to get home. I mean, I think we were pulling in at like 3, 4 in the morning, just something ridiculous like that. But I remember like someone posted a video on Facebook back when that was popular, and I think Murph was in the back singing, just kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, like that's the fun stuff that you remember and the good memories you share for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So talk about go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead, Wyatt.
Yeah, talk about your love for baseball, because that was kind
Mm.
of the first sport your dad got you into.
Yeah.
And then that's how
Mm.
you and I met really through baseball.
Oh,
And
for sure.
that was baseball your first love in sports?
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, like you said, I mean, that was from a young age. And like when, my dad is like, okay, you're in the backyard, just,
Yeah.
throwing some wiffle balls, throwing some tennis balls, hitting all that good stuff. And that was always so fun to do as a kid. So then, naturally it's like, okay, well, start playing sports, start playing T-ball, and, you just kind of keep it rolling. But, yeah, I for sure had that love for baseball from a young age. And then, like you say, when we grew up and started getting into Nighthawks, and then got that team together, obviously that made it, that much more enjoyable too, because we were, lucky enough to have some success and be a pretty good team. So that just kept it rolling, and baseball is always super fun, for sure. But that's one too where, again, you kind of never know where things are going to take you, because like I said earlier, in high school I ended up doing track. And I kept playing baseball in the summer with the Legion team, but it was one of those, like, funny looking back, like I never in a million years, like in middle school, say, would you have told me like I wouldn't be playing baseball during the baseball season and running track instead, for instance.
Yeah.
But again, that's just kind of where it took me. And like I said, lucky enough, we still had the Legion baseball option, so
Right.
still stuck with that, because I couldn't give baseball up, especially through high school. Again,
Yeah.
it's so fun, and again, to get those memories, those experiences too. Yeah, I wouldn't have traded those for anything either.
So how did you like come about? Because like, yeah, like you said, I thought you were gonna play school and summer baseball.
Yep.
And so like, did a coach kind of convince you to go over track, or were you just kind of like, no, I think I could be really good at track. I'm just gonna sacrifice baseball for a little bit and then play Legion.
Yeah, honestly, it was just me, like,
Okay.
having conversations with my parents, and it was, it literally was that freshman year. when I did cross country. And again, you know, it was one of those, like, I was doing cross country. I knew I was, you know, decent, okay in middle school. But like we said earlier, you know, you're walking into such a good team and such a good program right away. And so honestly, like, I never had any expectations of, you know, like being some varsity level runner or anything like that early on. And then, you know, I was lucky enough that that's just kind of how I developed over the course of that freshman season, and ended up lucky enough to be on that varsity team by the end of it. And so really that was just kind of like this kind of, you know, you know, you're kind of naive as a freshman, and now all of a sudden I'm thinking like, okay, like maybe this is something I'm okay at. Maybe I should think about, you know, doing track and kind of keeping it rolling in the spring. And so, yeah, it was. And that's what I appreciate too. Like Coach McMahon, you know, there was never any pressure like, oh, you need to not go out for baseball or else you're going to fall behind in running or anything like that. And so I think that's something I appreciated too, where, you know, it was, again, just those kind of conversations with mom and dad, and just eventually coming to the decision, like, you know what, let's do both. Like, let's do track in the spring and keep baseball rolling in the summer, and find a way to make both work, I guess.
So cross country right into basketball right into track right into baseball. So now, like, reflecting as a high school kid, it's like, oh, it makes sense. Like, you just go. But did you ever have like injuries? Like, now reflecting, it's like, oh man, I hurt when I wake up. Like, how could go one thing to the next? Like, did you ever get hurt through all that?
Weird. I was only hurt one time. It was my sophomore year going into cross country season. So it was like the beginning of end of summer, beginning of cross season. And looking back, you know, I think it was just one of those like terrible knee tendonitis, like, you know, I just shot up, growing pains, all that stuff, where, you know, there's not like some official diagnosis, but it was just brutal to go through. But otherwise, no, nothing major. Which you get, like, you know, lucky enough, because, you know, a lot of times that stuff just kind of comes down to luck, honestly. But I think that was part of it too. And why I enjoyed it so much is, you know, things always felt fresh. Like, you know, not that I would be tired of a sport, you know, when it was, obviously, you know, I didn't want it to be done or whatever, but just kind of that constant, like, okay, you know, I'm running now. Okay, good. Now I'm excited for hoops, and now I'm excited for track. You know, you kind of keep that, just kind of the freshness, the excitement rolling. And you know, I was the type, it's like, I never would have had any interest in going home after school and not doing something, or not being, you know, part of a team, or being around my buddies. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of never, you know, just taking it in stride, and it was fun. Like,
yeah,
you know?
for sure. So then you go on and you get a scholarship to go to University of Nebraska Kearney to do cross country and track at Kearney.
Yep. So then, yeah, running in college turns into year round, because they have an indoor track season too. So, yeah, same type of deal, but just, three cross country / track seasons all year.
So, like, what's like the mental process of like doing track and cross country? Because you think of it as an individual sport, but like mentally, it's pretty tough, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing too, like, you know, being a coach now, where, you know, you try to instill it in the kids, and just understanding, like, you know, sometimes you just got to be upfront about it. Like, it's not easy. It's not glamorous. It's not, you know, something that's always enjoyable to do. Like, you know, again, like, you know, thinking back to high school, throughout college, like, you know, in the summer you wake up super early and you run, because, you know, if you sleep in and wait too long, then it's burning hot outside and it's hard to get those runs in. But you know, just stuff like that, where, again, it's not easy. Like, and especially like once I got to college, that's what you kind of realize, regardless of sport, where it does change a little bit from kind of that high school, like, high school, like, obviously it's tough to, you know, put in the work, get better, some of that, but everything's so fun. Like, you enjoy it. You have all those good memories, the good relationships with your buddies, all that. And obviously you get that stuff in college too, but it does become a little bit more like job or business like. And a lot of it too, it changes to like your kind of inner drive. Like, are you willing to do a lot of stuff like on your own to commit to this, rather than, you know, kind of in high school, you know, the coaches, parents, your peer pressure, some of that type of
Mhm.
stuff that helps kind of keep you going too.
Yeah. So you go to Kearney and just like, yes, sport, like doing a sport in college is difficult, but talk about, so like for me, I went to Northwest Missouri State, same size. I thought it'd be like going further away, but so close, not a lot of Fremont people. What was like the transition for you from Fremont High, where you have such a tight knit group of friends, to go to Kearney? Like, how was
Yeah,
that, the
for
transition to
sure,
college?
for sure. Honestly, like I think it was good. And part of that is 100% like the fact that I was able to go out there and run as well. And I think that's why, it's so important in college. And that's why, you see a lot of people join fraternities and sororities or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Because that was something where it's so nice to, like, I go out there, and I was lucky enough to have a couple guys from Fremont as well. Like Britt Jensen, a couple years older, he was already out there on the team. Mason Brown, my age, he went out there with me, so we were in the same class, and we're on the team together. So that obviously helped. Like, okay, I know a couple of these guys already.
Mhm.
And then that's the nice part, where it's similar to high school, where it's like, okay, that's your squad. Like, those are the people that you spend every day with, the most time with, and you just develop kind of that brotherhood too. And so that definitely helps the transition, again, where
Mhm.
you're away from home for the first time, you're away from a lot of your good buddies for the first time, but you have that group that it's like, okay, like these are some great buddies now too. And that definitely helps the transition, knowing you got that group behind you every day.
Mhm.
How was like through college? Were you able to stay pretty healthy, or did you face some adversity with injuries?
Yeah, definitely more so. Just kind of a lot of random stuff here and
Mhm.
there. And stuff on, again, you look back, you almost kind of laugh at it now, but
Mhm.
like my first race in college cross country, we were at Pioneers Park in Lincoln, and that was just a staple of high school, so you show up and you feel like you've run there 1,000 times already if you're from Nebraska. And it's one of those, like, the finishing stretch, it's like a little loop, and I basically passed out. Like, I have, or had no, like, zero recollection. I somehow finished, but literally zero recollection. Like, I basically woke up a little bit in their like medical tent, and then eventually I was in an ambulance to basically to go to the hospital to get an IV. So that was an interesting way to start for sure. And then my sophomore year, I got mono essentially for the first semester. Um, so that was tough. And then I dealt with a couple injuries here and there. Probably the toughest one was my last year. During indoor track season, I ended up, and I still don't even know like what the official diagnosis would be, but I messed up my foot somehow. So I basically ended like that last part of my indoor season, and then basically outdoor track was shot, going through that injury too. But that's, so yeah, I mean, more adversity for sure. But, again, it was one of those just kind of perspective things. Like, I've been lucky enough to be able to do this for so long, and these extra years in college, and, just understanding it's been a great opportunity. It's been a great ride, and kind of keep some of those things in perspective for sure.
Yeah.
So you go through at UNK. Were you going in to be teacher and into coaching right away? So you graduate with your degree. Is that what you want to do from the whole get go? Is be good into
Honestly,
coaching?
no. So I was the classic, like, I went in, no clue, it just kind of like, okay, like that's normal. Like, I'll just kind of see something that kind of speaks to me, I guess, when I get out there. And so it's just kind of the funny stuff. Like, I remember my freshman year, I took like some intro to computer science class. Like, oh, okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe this will be interesting. And I took that. I was like, this is awful. Like, never again. So just kind of feeling that out, more in the early stage. I did take a teaching class early. Just, I had like kind of the consideration, okay, maybe I want to do this. And it was fine, but early on I was still like, I don't know for sure. And then at one point I was taking a lot of business classes, and that was kind of my first from like, okay, I think maybe I'll go some type of business, finance, accounting, something route. But then after taking a few more of those classes, it was one of those, I don't know, I think I was sitting in like an accounting class or something, and same type of deal. I'm just going like, I'm bored. Like, I can tell this is just something I would not want to devote my working life to.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's just one of those, like, eventually I could just kind of made my way back to teaching, just kind of having those thoughts like, what am I going to enjoy doing for most of my life, for a job, where do I think I might have an impact, some of that type of stuff. And, just kind of just felt, teaching, opportunity to coach. And again, that's been so much of my life experience. Like, why not? Let's try to make an impact there, and just kind of rolled with it.
Nice. So what lessons have you learned from coaching kids? Is there like, you ever think like, man, I wish I would have had this mindset when I was in high school, or you're like, oh, I had the same mindset this kid had. Like,
Yeah, for
good or
sure. I mean,
negative,
you definitely, that's something I've noticed. Like, you definitely relate to some of the kids that you coach.
Mhm.
It's like I had a kid, that I coached in cross country this year. Well, two boys that, they up to this point, and they were seniors this year, and they're great runners. A lot of talent and all that, but just for just various circumstances, just they both were at state last year but did not medal, so they hadn't medaled up to this point. And they were both fortunate enough to come away with a medal at state cross this year. And so that was something where it's just like, as a coach, you relate to that, and just you're just so happy for them, and rewarding that their hard work continued to pay off. And then and I told them, just I'm so proud of you, because it's from my experiences and all the people that I've come across, it's like you understand some things like, yeah, sometimes it'd be really easy for you to kind of give in along the way. Like, okay, something didn't go your way, something didn't go the way you kind of expected it to, and you face some adversity, but instead of kind of letting that turn you back and get you down, you still found a way to keep coming back and keep putting the work in, and then you get rewarded for that. So those are the cool things that as a coach, like, I love being able to relate to, and just see, kids that get rewarded for doing the right things, and getting that enjoyment out of it.
So with coaching and all that, but so you're married and you got a daughter, correct?
Yep.
How old is she?
She is, let's say the second. She's 15 months tomorrow,
15
actually.
months. So what did you meet your wife at Kearney, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, and so lucky enough, I stayed a fifth year, out in Kearney. So it was that last year I was there, that we started dating, and she was a tennis player, and she's actually a year younger than me. So it was her fourth year there, but that ended up being her last year, out there too. And yeah, it was one of those, like, lucky enough, she actually was friends with a couple of my teammates, that were obviously her age, and they'd kind of gotten to know each other from day one when they got there. So she had been pretty good friends with them for a while. And so yeah, it was one of those, like, I kind of knew who she was, and then we had a class or two together as well. So just kind of some random connections like that, where I kind of knew her, but nothing too crazy. And then yeah, just lucky enough that last year, just kind of the happenstance, we started hanging out a little bit more with kind of some of those mutual friends, and that type of deal, and just hit it off, luckily. And so we've basically started dating that last year, and then things worked out, because she's from Papillion, so both pretty close from back home, and we were both looking to move back home / Omaha after college. So so lucky a lot of those things worked out, and the last year of college was pretty good.
So then you got the job in Maillard South. Is that your first?
Yep. So I moved back, and student taught at Maillard North, actually. So it was one of those, like, getting placed for student teaching. Got placed in Maillard, but I didn't know, like I'd put Maillard down, but you don't really know where you're going to go. So got placed at Maillard North. And so I went back, and it was a fall of that year that I student taught. So the first semester. And then it was just one of those lucky coincidences. There was an opening at Maillard South at semester when I was done student teaching. So that doesn't happen too much. So just kind of lucky that I got done student teaching, and that opened up, and applied for it, because obviously I enjoyed Maillard North, but it's one of those, let's try to get a job as soon as we can. And I was lucky enough to get that, and just start there right away.
Nice. So now that you've how many years have you been coaching at Maillard South now?
So this is my 6th year.
Okay.
So that 5th full year, so I had that like half year, and this is my
Oh,
5th
yeah.
full year. So basically after that first half year, that first full year is when I started coaching hoops.
Cool. So like, what are your like goals, or either in or outside of coaching, that you're working towards right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think right now the big one would be, with cross country, just taking that over this year, and continuing to build that program up. Because as we touched on earlier, obviously my experience, I've seen what you would consider to be the gold standard of obviously cross country teams, but like any team to have that level of success. What I came from in high school cross country. So just again, like take it, you're never gonna build a carbon copy of something like that. But obviously the goal would be, again, to take some of those things I've learned, the experience that I've had, and just try to translate that for the kids. And like I said, that's the rewarding part, is trying to build something for them, where they find something that they're passionate about, that they have success in, that they can continue working towards getting better. And whether that is their success in high school and that's it, whether they go on to running college or whatever they do after high school. But just trying to build a great team culture, a great team environment where again, a lot of kids are finding that, because I was lucky enough to have something like that for me when I was in high school.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think your starting 5 from senior year of high school in basketball could beat the starting 5 for Maillard South JV basketball team?
Oh, JV?
Like right now, yeah.
Oh, well, I'd hope.
Yeah.
What's the JV team, Jake?
My JV.
Hey, man.
I love my
It's been a
JV
few
kids.
years.
I love my JV. Oh, right. Okay. So right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Right
I
now,
mean,
okay. You
hey,
mean
Yeah.
like now?
Hey, I'll be
Okay.
honest. My
Like
shot,
tonight, yeah.
my shot is not looking good.
Yeah.
I'd be ugly, but I don't know about a lot of the other guys. But
Find a way.
I gotta be honest. Knowing Mitch Hahn,
That's true.
I'll probably still take us against most at this point. I
Yeah.
mean, even if the other 4 of us, haven't picked up a basketball in a while,
Mhm.
knowing Mitch, I'll roll the dice with him.
All you gotta do is give it to Mitch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's the one that's still playing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, his 3-on-3 stuff, I'll take him. I'll give him the ball and,
yeah,
and
why
let him
not
go.
play some guy that's
Yeah.
traveling the world
Yep.
playing basketball?
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, Trevor, thanks for coming on and sharing your story, and we really appreciate you sharing.
Absolutely,
And,
fellas. Well, hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, and always good to see you guys and talk with you a little bit.
yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming on, Trev.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, fellas. Take it easy.